All right, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and also discuss the Rangers' second most recent game. That would, of course, be a 3-1 win in Philadelphia against the Flyers on Friday afternoon. One of the first things that kind of jumps out if you just check the box score is that the Rangers in this game were outshot by the Flyers 37-19, but I don't think that was really indicative, really at all, of how this game was played. As Sam and Joe pointed out during the first period specifically, there was a lot of time that the Rangers spent on Philadelphia's side of the ice in this game. They were swarming, keeping offensive zone possessions alive. I thought the Rangers' puck recovery in this game, especially in the offensive zone, was absolutely outstanding. There were a couple of times where you thought maybe the puck was going to get cleared by the Flyers. The Rangers kept it alive, kept things going, and in some cases created more scoring opportunities. And at the very least, at least kept the puck on Philadelphia's side of the ice. So I thought the Rangers were very good in that regard. It didn't always add up to shots on goal. And I think part of the reason for that as well is the fact that the Rangers, a couple of times in this game, were selfless to a fault. That's a term that I used to use all the time to describe the Rangers when everybody was trying to pass the puck into the net. They don't do that as much as they used to, but I thought it came back a little bit in this game. A couple of instances where the Rangers had a chance to shoot the puck and gave away or turned down rather, a good scoring opportunity to make a pass. One instance off the top of my head was Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider. This is after the Rangers are up 2-0 in the first period. They've got a chance to make it 3-0. And Mika, he's going in. He's got a great chance to shoot the puck, and he tries to force the pass to Kreider. Didn't get there. And of course, with Mika, up until this game, had been struggling to score, especially 5v5. And so you get an opportunity like that, you really want to see Mika pull the trigger and try to put it into the net. But, that's really just a nitpick overall. I thought the Rangers were very, very good in this game, in particular, the first 40 minutes. And Igor Shesterkin was absolutely awesome, especially in the third period in this game against the Flyers. Stopped 36 of 37 shots overall. There were some instances in the third period where the Flyers were swarming. The Rangers allowed the Flyers to get a few more second chance opportunities than I think we're used to seeing Ranger opponents get this season. But anytime that did happen, Igor was up to the task, made a lot of really nice saves, a couple in succession down the stretch in this game. It just felt like, Igor, even though the Flyers were getting their push and clearly picked up their game in the third period, it just felt like Igor just wasn't going to let it happen. He was going to hang in there and probably not even allow another goal to get by him, much less two. So a great job by Igor Shesterkin. And obviously, hopefully that, lets Ranger fans that were a little bit down on Igor, a little bit worried about Igor, hopefully, that helps you breathe a little bit, because I think this is a pretty solid reminder of just who Igor Shesterkin is, how good he is, how much he means to this team. He was big time in this game, and I'd expect more of the same going forward. Again, you look at his numbers this year, they don't jump off the page in like an incredible way, an incredibly positive way for Igor Shesterkin, what he's done with the Rangers this season. But you got to remember, he did have the injury, missed some time because of that, came back, gave up a decent amount of goals in the first two games, but he's still Igor Shesterkin, and I don't think there's another goalie I'd rather have in this league on my team other than Igor. So he did a great job here, and I think it's, again, probably a sign of what's to come. Even the goal he allowed in this game by Couturier, that came on a very tough to defend deflection. There was some traffic in front of Igor on this play as well, but Couturier with a really nice deflection put it into the net. That cut the Ranger lead to 3-1, but as we just mentioned, that was as close as the Flyers would get. And Igor really should also get credit for a shot on goal in this game. There was an instance where the Rangers were shorthanded, and he shot the puck, took it upon himself, got the puck behind the Ranger net, kind of skated in front of the net and shot it down the rink, and it went on net. And so that should be a shot on goal right there for Igor Shesterkin. And again, just a really, really solid game. Igor was in complete control in this one from the start to the end, despite going up against the Flyers, who came into this game actually in second place in the Metro Division. And while we're on the subject right now, there is more of a divide between the Rangers in first place and the Flyers in second place than there is between the Flyers in second place and I think who's in last. I think it's the Blue Jackets still, but I checked the standings very quickly yesterday. And again, there are more points separating the first place Rangers and the second place Flyers than there are points separating the second place Flyers from the eighth place Blue Jackets. That gives you an idea of how well the Rangers have played, and there's still a long way to go. Anything can happen, but they've really created some separation early in the season, which is not easy to do. We're not even a quarter of the way through this thing yet, and they're already flirting with a double-digit lead as far as points in the division. So awesome stuff there as well. Also, Blake Wheeler to Mika Zibanejad ×2. They linked up for a couple of goals in this one. The first one was interesting because they go in on the rush, And Wheeler made it pretty obvious that he was going to pass here. I mean, at first he was selling the shot a little bit, but then he basically, kind of turned to the side and was looking right at Mika Zibanejad as his momentum is taking him toward the net. And there's a defender there for the Flyers, but a really great pass by Blake Wheeler, excuse me. He can still kind of thread the needle when it comes to these passes, or so it would seem. He slipped a really nice pass between the stick and the skate of the defender, got it over to Mika. Mika took care of the rest, knocked it into the net. And Wheeler, he was all fired up after this goal was scored. You could tell, he's starting to chip in a little bit, starting to kind of feel it with the Rangers. Obviously, there was a bit of an adjustment period there, but he has picked it up recently. And you could tell it's just kind of a weight off his shoulders that at least he's contributing a little bit offensively, whereas he was not doing that at all in the early parts of the season. So I'm glad the Rangers have been patient with him and taking advantage of the opportunity to play on the top line. That's another thing. They did that Kako for Wheeler flip-flop, and you're thinking like, okay, hopefully this gets Kako going, and hopefully Mika and Kreider, they've got a new line, maybe that gets them going a little bit too. The guy that's benefited the most from that flip flop is actually Blake Wheeler, the guy on a 1-year contract that's 37 years old. So that's just kind of interesting. I think so far though, Blake Wheeler's the one that's benefited from that switch the most, at least in the early goings, or fairly early goings of that switch. The other kind of subplot for the Rangers that's been going on is the struggles 5v5. And specifically for the top line, not so much for, obviously the Panarin line, but the top line struggling 5v5. We mentioned the two Mika Zibanejad goals. We also had Chris Kreider scoring a goal to make it 2-0. Now, this was just an awful play by the Flyers. They were trying to make a pass. They won the faceoff in their own zone, tried to make a pass right to the center of the ice, and it went right to Kreider, and he picked it up and just shot it right into the net. But hey, Kreider still anticipated the play. He intercepted the pass clean, which he was going to have to do if he was going to turn it into a goal. And then he's got to beat the goalie. And I'm sure even Kreider himself, the Flyers were probably not ready for this, and Carter Hart was probably not ready for this, but Kreider probably wasn't either, but he still, got control of the puck quickly, shot it right into the net. So good stuff there. So that's 3 goals, 5v5 between Mika and Kreider in this game. And they should have had a shorthanded goal as well. Or I shouldn't say shouldn't have, because, the play was reviewed and then determined to be offside. But Kreider scored on a breakaway while shorthanded. Unfortunate that goal didn't, obviously hold up. But it is what it is. When a play is reviewed, we pretty much know at this point that it's going against the Rangers. So that was unfortunate that happened. Didn't really see a lot of replays of it either. So that was kind of just strange. Usually MSG is all over that and giving you a look from every different angle. But yeah, the play was overturned due to an offside. And the Rangers grinded their way to a difficult win against a team that seems to be getting better, and doing it in a really intense game as well. This is a chippy, nasty game between the Rangers and Flyers, which is really par for the course when these two teams get together. But yet a situation where, this is kind of the one thing that kind of annoyed me a little bit is, early in the game, Trouba's kind of a marked man. The Flyers are trying to get him to drop his gloves because they were off to a terrible start, and obviously they're trying to spark their team a little bit. So Trouba's having to deal with like 2 guys at once, and then he delivers a body check, knocks his guy, it was Hathaway, down to the ice, and he's getting jumped by Hathaway, and another player on the Flyers is going after Trouba. It's kind of 2-on-1, and then Barclay Goodrow comes in, and he's actually the one that drops the gloves with Hathaway. So, the Flyers are trying to bait Trouba, and he doesn't want to fight them because he doesn't want to allow them to give their team that spark early in the game. He's really got nothing to gain. Even if he wins the fight, the Flyers, it's kind of mission accomplished because, again, they're trying to get their team going, spark them a little bit. So he didn't want to do it. It ends up being Goodrow getting into the fight with Hathaway, but no instigator or anything along those lines here. And then later in the game, Will Cooley, he comes to the aid of Ryan Lindgren. Lindgren was checked hard down to the ice, and he fights Garnet Hathaway. Now, I have no problem with this being an instigator penalty on Will Cooley. He ends up getting 17 minutes of, penalty time, which maybe that was a little much. I think maybe just the 2-minute instigator would have been fine. But regardless, that's not what happened. And it just seems to kind of go against what we saw early in the game. The Flyers didn't get any kind of instigator penalty for going after Trouba. The Rangers do get an instigator penalty when Cooley goes after Hathaway. So I don't know. Maybe you guys could try to explain that one to me. But we move on, and the Rangers, again, despite things not really going in their favor in this game, end up getting a win, which is obviously really nice to see. Also, got to give some props to the fourth line of the Rangers. I thought they had a heck of a game. We talk about sometimes how, oh man, it felt like the rink was tilted in this game, right? It felt like the rink was basically vertical when that Ranger fourth line was on the ice. Between Goodrow, Vesey, and Pitlick, they spent pretty much the entirety of their shifts on Philadelphia side of the ice, and not even just, cycling the puck and having it against the boards and everything. No, they were creating some scoring chances too. VZ came within a couple of inches, it looked like, of possibly scoring on a deflection attempt. Tyler Pitlick kind of got behind the defense later in this game as well. He had a good chance. Would have been great to see one or both of those guys put the puck in the net, but didn't happen. But either way, still a fantastic job by the Ranger fourth line in this game. And then also the penalty kill. I mean, you can't ignore that. Obviously, the Rangers, they faced the Penguins. Penguins went 0 for 5. Then they faced the Flyers. The Flyers go 0 for 6 on the power play. You had Flyer fans booing the Philadelphia power play, which my understanding is it came into the game ranked 28th in the league. So it's not exactly a team known for having a great power play, but regardless, Rangers did a phenomenal job there as well. So again, just a really solid performance against the Philadelphia Flyers. And like I said, I wanted to cover that game in today's episode as well. But that will do it for today, guys. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch with this podcast, please send an email to lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Once again, that is lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Definitely give us a follow on Twitter as well at LO_NY_Rangers. Once again, that's at LO_NY_Rangers. And definitely subscribe to Locked On New York Rangers YouTube channel. Thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.